Ladies and gentlemen, today is a day for glory. Today, your hard work will finally see the rays of recognition. You have spent months, tremendous effort, and great commitment to these projects, these inventions. You started with just an idea, a small idea that only you could understand. Just a simple thought in your head could be used to solve the world's greatest problems. Since September, you have elaborated, researched, built, and explained your idea until today it becomes a reality. Today, the world will get to see your inventions. Be proud of the value that your work has. Remember that your time, your sacrifice, your commitment is not for scoring a higher number on a test. This is not some competition to see who can recite more knowledge. This is an event where we will change the world. Look with pride on your accomplishments. Remember that the work you have put in for months will go to make a little girl smile, to make an old man laugh. Remember that your inventions, your shortcuts for convenience and efficiency, these will change how people live their lives. This event is not for a score. It is to showcase ingenious creations that will go to change lives. Be proud that you are literally changing the world. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a day for glory. It's time to finally meet the world's next creators. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Massachusetts Invention Convention. This is being held here at the KtByte offices, where we will be showing 13 students with incredible inventions that are going to be competing next week at the Regional Invention Convention in New Hampshire. To start off, let's talk about what KtByte is as a whole. KtByte is a computer science academy that was founded 7 years ago by a few Cornell graduates. They teach computer science computer science from beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels, and teach it primarily in the Java language. Now, until January 2017, KtByte only taught software classes. But that all changed when I founded the first ever robotics program. What we did is we created a program where we taught students how to use Arduino. Is everyone here in the audience, do they know what Arduino is? Yes? Okay, so I am sure they know what Arduino is, but for those who don't, Arduino is a small microcontroller that you can program to do a few tasks. So simply the main structure of it is it takes an input, does something to it, does an output. It's like a function table if you've seen those in math. But I know that, but basically these students, what they've done is they've taken this small structure and they've elaborated and built it to create these complex networks and complex algorithms that will make the inventions that you see today. So we first started teaching robotics to teach students how to use Arduino and learn not only the software but also the hardware. It started in the summer, just every Saturday for 2 hours, teaching 5 kids. And when September came, we realized that there was still demand for this program. People wanted to continue learning Arduino, and new students wanted to start. So we split the class into 2 classes, beginner and intermediate. This is what it looked like last year. So we created the beginner and intermediate classes, which taught both basic computer science for Arduino and more advanced complex topics of computer science. Now, of course, teaching these 2 classes 2 hours a week, that's a lot of time. And I couldn't have done it alone, so that's why we had 2 brilliant people who came up and approached me to become the next TAs and soon instructors of the KtByte robotics program. Those 2 are Arthur and Alex. Please come up here. So Arthur Zhang started as the first robotics TA back in September, just about 1 or 2 months after this program was founded, and he became the TA for the intermediate class. Next, the semester after that, he became the instructor for the beginner class. Around this time, Alex's son joined us, and he became the instructor of the intermediate class in 1 day. So that was pretty impressive. But anyway, these are for you two. To congratulate your help in this program. And these 2 will also be inventors today presenting their projects. Thank you. Okay. So after we created the beginner and the intermediate class, and students started in the beginner class, worked their way into intermediate, and then they came to advanced. So we were wondering, how could we create a program that could take students who have already learned these complex ideas in intermediate and still grow them further? So we came up with the advanced class. The advanced class is a project-based learning class that gives students, allows students to have an idea of some project they want to do, and gives them the materials and the mentorship to build these projects and take them to these amazing competitions. Last year, the advanced class started as a pilot. We just wanted to see how it would go. And eventually, we decided that this class we should send these projects to the National Invention Convention, after realizing that these are not just Arduino projects, but they're actually world-changing inventions. So last year, we took our students to the National Invention Convention in Detroit, Michigan, and there we won 5 awards total. And now we've come back in June, and we've created we've continued the advanced program during the summer and during the fall of 2018. So back in July and even September, we started teaching these classes, teaching these advanced classes, and we've handpicked certain students to stay in these classes stay in these classes to learn Arduino and build their inventions. And those are these students, 13 students back here, these are the ones who you will be hearing from today. Now, one thing we must also mention is the numerous TAs who have been part of this program. TAs back here, are any TAs who have been part of the robotics program? Jonathan. Owen? Where's Owen? Owen, come up. Owen is the newest TA of the advanced program. He was jumped into the advanced class, which is very rare to have students come in when the class is already waitlisted, and he's became a TA and will remain being a TA in the future for future classes to come. Congratulations, Owen. Yeah, and also the same thing applies to Will as well, who is also a TA in this class. Will, you can come up as well. So Will, how old are you?
14.
14. What grade are you in?
8th.
8th grade. So Will, what class did you teach before?
Intermediate.
Intermediate. And now he's an advanced student who's presenting today as well. Give him a round of applause. Now, one thing to mention is that the students who take these classes, they become the leaders. In the case of Owen and Will, they started in both beginner class, is that right? Or intermediate, either beginner or intermediate class. Yes, and they went through and became these new teachers. So generally what will happen is students will start in the beginning, either in beginner or intermediate. They'll work their way up the class level to advanced. They'll go to the National Invention Convention, they'll win, and they become the next, and they became the champions of this class. Then these students became the TAs of their own classes. And eventually, they became the instructors. Is Jonathan here? Jonathan. So Jonathan was started, what class did you start in? He started in intermediate, right? Advanced. Oh, yeah, he was he was the only student who ever made it straight to advanced without any prior classes. And he made it into advanced, and he did well in the regionals and nationals, and now he became you became the TA of which class?
I became the TA of beginner and intermediate.
And then you became the instructor of beginner, and now you're the instructor of intermediate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give a round of applause, everyone. So what started before as just three high school, middle school students has grown into this program where we take our own students and make them our instructors. Now, maybe many of you out here will want to start in the beginner class in robotics. And maybe in a few months, you might be teaching the very class that you started in. This has happened with two students, both Jonathan and Boyan. Boyan, unfortunately, cannot be here today. And now they are the instructors of the new classes and have replaced Alex and Arthur and I, as we are getting very old. But without further ado, let's get to the main event that we're here for. The inaugural Massachusetts Invention Convention. This is the preliminary round to the Regional Invention Convention in New Hampshire, which is the Invention Convention for New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and part of Massachusetts, the northern half of Massachusetts. The main purpose of this event today is two things. One is to give you experience presenting in front of esteemed judges, an audience, and cameras. It's a lot of pressure. So when they're up here, make sure to give them a round of applause at the end because they are going through tremendous pressure to be up here and present their ideas for nearly 4 minutes all alone. The other reason why we're here is for the feedback. We have a panel of 4 judges here who are to give incredible feedback to these inventions, and even the audience. If you want to give some feedback, you're free to give feedback as well. But primarily, most of the time will be spent towards our panel of 4 judges. Let's get into who these judges are. The first judge is Mr. Andre Werner. After growing up in Belmont, Massachusetts, Mr. Werner studied at Sonoma College for Mathematics in Southern California. He then returned to the Boston area to teach at Lexington High School, where he has taught math at all levels for the past 16 years. Mr. Werner has pursued more advanced concepts in math at Harvard College as well. Along with teaching, he also enjoys cooking and learning about history. Let's give him an applause. The second judge we have here today is Mr. Veera Raghavan. Dr. Raghavan is a hands-on technology executive and business leader with a passion to positively change the world using technology and AI. He has held executive positions at Fortune 100 companies and has successfully founded, led, and grown startups resulting in significant exits to Apple, Motorola, and West Health. Raghavan is currently the president and co-founder of the Learning Corp, creator of the award-winning constant therapy app that uses AI to help people recover their brain function after a stroke, brain injury, or neurological disorders. The third judge we have, also our keynote speaker, is Professor Nicholas Fang. Nicholas X. Fang is currently a professor of mechanical engineering at MIT. He also serves as the chief scientist of BMF Material Technologies, a technological startup spin-off from his research group of 3D nano manufacturing and nanophotonics at MIT. That's one long word. His recognitions include the ASME Chow and Trigger Young Manufacturing Engineer Award, the ICO Prize from the International Commission of Optics, an invited participant of the Frontiers of Engineering Conference by National Academies in 2010. In addition to this is also the NSF Career Award and the MIT Technology Review magazine's 35 Young Innovators Award. Wow. We definitely in the presence of many great judges. But last but not least, we have our final judge, Mr. Ryan Lung. Ryan Lung is a current freshman at Harvard College with an anticipated concentration in applied mathematics and economics. He is from Lexington, Massachusetts, and has won the National Economics Challenge twice with the LHS team. Outside of school, Ryan is involved with the Harvard College Project for Asian and International Relations, and he's a part of the Harvard College China Forum. Anything else you want to add, judges? No? All right. So without further ado, we'll get into the presenters. Oh, thank you. This is the published list of all the presenters in order. Inventors, you have, you know where you're going in terms of the list? Yes? Please say yes. Okay. So there'll be a brief intermission between Vikram and Ronald. So if any of you are in the second part of the presentation, you should probably get your inventions ready to go during the intermission. We will begin with Samuel very shortly. One thing to mention is that you can use the mouse as your clicker to go through. And we'll also give you a microphone. So just put it in your pocket and clip this onto your shirt. And then you'll just talk into that. So you have 4 minutes to give your pitch. And then there'll be 4 minutes of questions from the judges. And then after that, there will be questions from the audience, if time permitting. Anyone have any questions on the format? No? Yeah?
When is the keynote?
The keynote is towards the end, so around 4:30. Yeah. Yeah, so Samuel, you can come up right now. Everyone, give a round of applause to Samuel. I'm going to give you your... So basically, this is the remote, okay? So you just click through it. Whoa, not bad. Yeah, we can bring the music stand to the table. Basically, your remote is here. You're going to click through it like this to get through your slides, okay? Are you nervous?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just breathe in, stay calm, and everything will be fine.
And also, do you know?
Yeah, microphone as well. So we're going to clip this microphone. Do you have a pocket? Can you put this in your pocket? That's fine.
Anyone know how to put this screen down? Anyone how to?
Yeah, we can get it from back there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Simon, one second. Let me just get the timer set up for you. Okay. Everyone, are you ready? Okay. Samuel, start when you're ready.
okay, so my project was the energy saving light bulb. So I was doing this because annually, like, people waste a lot of money on like electricity, and in the U.S., numbers have even reached billions of dollars, and a lot of money is wasted by like just leaving your lights on, which is a very simple thing, but it actually costs a lot. So also, like, it's an environmentally, it's like dangerous for the environment because electricity is mostly made from coal, and like that pollutes the environment. So studies have shown that in the U.S. alone, they produce like 14.4 million tons of carbon dioxide every year, which is really bad for the environment. So my goal of my project was to save energy by using the sun as a light source instead of like artificial light. So my project, it's like it must be able to like adjust the amount of light coming out of the light bulb according to the amount of light that's coming from outside. Like the sun, you're like measuring the sunlight. So by doing this, I will never waste like extra electricity when I don't need it. So my solution, how my solution works is first a photoresistor senses the amount of light coming from outside, and then after it adjusts the light bulb if it's bright outside, it like dims, and then when it's like not that bright outside, it the light bulb brightens up. And all of this is controlled by a Arduino board, which is like sort of like a computer chip.
Just press it.
Okay. So this is like a diagram of how it works. So first, as I said, it like senses the amount of light, and then that gives the information to the Arduino board, and then then the Arduino like processes it, and if the brightness is over 110 over 250 flux, then it like dims the light since there's a lot of sunlight coming, and then if the brightness is below 110 over 250 flux, it makes the light bulb brighter because it's dim outside. So this is my diagram. This is the relay to turn the light bulb on and off, and there's the photoresistor. It's sort of small, but like it's a sensor, and then it's the 5-watt light bulb that's like the light source. So this is my process diagram. First, the input, so it's the photoresistor sensing the amount of light coming from outside. Then it goes to processing, which is the computer will find the amount of light to output out of the light bulb according to the amount of light, according to the input. And then the output is the how bright the light bulb is. So these are my materials and the cost. You can see it's relatively cheap. I tried to keep the price down as much as possible. Okay, so this is my comparison. So my project is unique because it changes the amount of light that's coming out of the light bulb, while other products either only turn on or off the light bulb or change the color of the light bulb. In summary, my project is the best it can be because it senses the amount of light that's coming from outside, and then it processes it and then outputs according to the input. So my future goal is make the project smaller. I might be able to do this by sending a signal between the photoresistor and the light bulb. This will make it so that it's easier to it's smaller and it's less noticeable when it's attached to a window. And then there's this is my bibliography. It's my research, and yeah, that's it.
Great job, Samuel. Samuel, how old are you?
10.
And what grade are you in?
5th grade.
5th grade. Wow. You're another round of applause for that.
Do I click to the...
Okay, so now we're going to have 4 minutes of questions from the judges that starts right now.
So, does your project work right now?
No, not right now, but I explained.
Can you hit the microphone? So the question was, does your project work right now? Can you explain that? Say that?
Well, no, not right now, but I showed how it worked on the previous slide, so yeah.
You need the microphone with the audio.
Okay. And when you what other applications might you be able to apply this to? Maybe other than light bulbs.
Like the shades, for example, it could go down or something when it's bright outside if you want it to be dim in your house. I don't know.
It's a good idea, yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, just overall, I think that was a really amazing presentation, and I was really blown away by how you were able to elucidate the problem and the uniqueness. I think just one question for me is, where do you put the sensor? Can it be anywhere? Can it be in a room, or does it have to be attached to a windowsill?
It's attached to the windowsill because it's easier to sense the light. When it's attached to a wall, it's harder because it's less the light isn't, it's also sensing the amount of light in the room, not coming from outside. So
very impressive. If you are given more time and more help, what would you like to improve on your current invention?
Make the invention smaller, yeah, since my invention is pretty large right now, so it's very noticeable, and you don't really want a giant thing on your windowsill, so yeah, I want it to make it smaller, yeah.
Sam, like the other judges, I'm very impressed with, in particular, your articulation of the problem and your articulation of your solution. One question that I have to think about is amount of light that you have in a room is a very personal preference. Some people want a lot of light, some people want less light. So the one question I have to think about is there a way that you can work personal preference into the design of your invention, knowing that, right now it appears it's one cutoff for, at this particular level of lightness, it either goes lighter or dimmer. Is there a role that personal preference could play in how the invention is implemented?
I was going to add that if I also had more time, I could the person could input this set of brightness they want in the room, say 50% light or something, and then that might work.
I think one last thing I wanted to add as well is that you need to make sure that the light sensor isn't pointing towards the light bulb itself, because otherwise you would be accounting for that light and thinking that's the ambient light, when in reality that's your artificial light that you're creating. But yeah, anything else? No. All right, round of applause to Samuel once more. Nice job. Good job.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Owen Wang, and my project is a low-cost home security system. So what is the problem? So the problem right now that we are facing is that low-income people get robbed more, but they can't afford the expensive home security systems like ADT. For example, ADT is $52.99 a month with a $99 equipment package. So as you see, that is very expensive. And if we see this chart here, the high-income people get robbed 13% of the time, but the low-income people get robbed 34% of the time. So my goal is to make a home security system that is low cost, like around $15, and then to also use, so in order to do this, I had to use materials that are relatively low cost, and I had to provide a reliable system with enough features. And so basically this is how my code works. So first, so I'm just gonna show. Okay, so basically first when it starts up, okay, I guess this is a bit small. So basically when it starts up, it will tell you to enter a master password. So I'm just gonna take 1, 2, 3, 4 as an example. So then you press, so then it goes to a default screen. So on the screen, if you press A, then it will arm the system. So this will give you a 10-second countdown for you to get out of the house. So now that it's armed, so it will check for motion. And so if it's no motion, then it will do it again. But if there is motion, for example, my hand just moved over. Then it will start an alarm. So then you will enter your password, and then it will turn off. And then then it will go back to the default screen. So here, if you press B, then it will enter change password mode. So on this, if you click A, then you can add a new password. If you click B, you can delete a password. And if you click C, then that will change your master password. And so for my cost here, this is all the stuff that I have. So the total cost is $18.09. And then this is just a prototype. So this number will subject to go down if it gets mass produced. And so why is this product better? So this product is better because this costs only $18.09, while the other priciest, the other cheapest thing is $14.99 a month with a $374 equipment package. And so installation, this product does not require much installation, and the size is relatively small. And so since these two are both true, you can move this place to place. So if you want to move it from the front door to the back door or to a window. And then so functionality, this also has enough functionality to protect people. So in summary, you can see that this device is currently workable for consumers, and it is better than competitors because of cost, installation, and size. So for my future goals, I want to use RFID instead of passwords. So this way, you can just take a card and then just tap it on the box, and that will unlock it for you. So this is more helpful with elder people who can't remember passwords as well. And to use SMS, so basically, if you get, if someone tries to go into your house and it detects, then it will turn on the alarm, and it will send you a text message telling you that someone just went into your house. And then to add cameras, so this way, you can help the police find out who it is, or you can see for yourself if it's only an animal, like your dog's like running around your house or something. And door sensors, so to see if your door has opened or not, and gas detectors to see if like you have like a carbon monoxide inside your house. And so yeah, that is my invention.
Very well done. One comment that I'd like to add.
You didn't have my latest slides.
I don't have your latest slides.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to add to it?
Yes.
Do you want to say an after that?
No, it's not anything I added. It's just stuff on the slides that I changed.
It's good. Okay. One thing I'd like to make sure that you also mention, really stress the point that this is a very cheap system, because this system already exists by ADT or any other home security system, but really stress the fact that this is portable, you can place it anywhere, and that anybody can afford it. It's just $10. And I think the key word you want to mention there is that this is a one-time fee and not a subscription service. But yeah, anything from the judges?
So you mentioned that it's much cheaper, but really it's the cost. There's a cost per device, right? You're expecting multiple such devices in a home.
Yeah. Or you can just put it in a home. You could have only one of these and just put it in an open earth space, so like a place where most people walk. That is an option, or you can just put multiple at multiple places. Yeah, that is also a way you can do that.
Owen, thank you for your explanation. I have two questions for you, and forgive me if you went over them. I was taking some notes, so I might have missed something. The first question I have is concern about the sensitivity of the equipment and false positives. If you mentioned at the end if there was like an animal in the house or something like that. I was thinking about people who maybe had pets, or if something like the dishwasher is left on, is that enough to set it off? If there's a strong winds and the house sort of shakes a little, is that enough to set it off? So my first question was sensitivity for false positives. My other question for you was, and again, forgive me if you said this, supposing a burglar does come into the house, and suppose there is an attack on the house, what precisely will the device do, and how will that ensure that the house is safe?
So first question is the false alarm. So how my device works, it isn't really motion, it's actually distance. So when you start it, it will calculate the distance from itself to the next object. And then so basically while it's armed, if that distance changes to be shorter, then it knows something is in between there. So it knows something has entered. So with pets, I guess you could just put it in a higher position that they couldn't reach, or you could just put your dog in a room. And then for the other question, which was...
What happens if there is an intruder?
Yeah, so basically, currently it only has an alarm, but as I said, for my future goals, I would add SMS. So if someone breaks in, then it will send you a message, and then maybe eventually it might call the police for you too.
Very interesting invention. I'm still a little curious of, I would say, what is the security measure of your device? For example, Arduino by itself or other, so to speak, this electronic device by itself would also have a vulnerability of intruders from I would say electronic attack, right? How would you address something like that?
Currently, this does not have network. So basically, you can't do over-the-air attacks. So that you can't like go into like the house's Wi-Fi and then change the code from there. But one possible thing that could happen is that someone like physically breaks into there. And one way that I could change that is to make the case out of a different material, such as like, or make it like stronger, such as like making the walls thicker, for example.
Yeah, overall, I think you did a really great job talking about the problem and clearly defining why there's a need for your product. I'm wondering, so it's clear that your competitor's price is over 10 times your price, and I'm wondering what are some things that they have that you might not have, and whether or not, if there are these things, that low-income families might want these specific products.
So some things that they don't have, I have mentioned, such as cameras, door sensors, gas detection, stuff like that, and etc. And the thing is that so right now, so if I add more to my prototype, the price is gonna go up. But then if I start mass producing it, then the price will go down again. So it should stay like about even. So like even when I add more stuff, people would still be able to afford it.
Yeah. So, yeah. One thing I just want to mention, Arthur, just get ready. One thing I want to mention is that that your invention is a one-time fee. So ADT, these are subscription services, and now basically you're buying the hardware, and then you're paying subscription for them to actually look after the house itself. So because this is a one-time thing, over time you're paying less than you pay for ADT, and over time it's still going to be a lot cheaper because you're not spending any additional money after you buy it. But yeah, round of applause for Owen. So now we're going to transition to Arthur Zhang. Do you have your invention? Okay, do you need to open the website on my computer? Yes. Okay, so it's going to be kind of hard to switch onto, if we just put the microphone over, so put this in the pocket, it's going to be hard to switch onto your, don't go over 4 minutes, we're like running really short in time. It's going to be really hard to,
my presentation is like by default 1 in the morning.
What? I don't think you have a question session. Just make sure that you are, you're all set, right? Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Arthur Zhang. I'm currently a freshman at Winchester High School, and I instruct robotics here at KtByte. My project that I'll be presenting to you today is AWARE. AWARE is a network of interconnected sensors that aims to help predict natural disasters. Natural disasters kill about 70,000 people each year and affect over 200 million more people, primarily because they don't get enough early warning. The current methods for predicting natural disasters is they use a sparse network of meteorology stations, as you can see on the left, this picture, and they take measurements about once every hour, and then any data that they don't have, they fill in with estimates, and then they use equations to calculate into the future. My approach uses small and low-cost devices that serve as these weather stations, and they form a very tight and interconnected network that can monitor conditions every 2 seconds. And then from there, I can use the data to train AI models and then tell people if there's a disaster imminent. So the system has 2 main parts. This is the sensor. This is the sensor unit, and this is the response unit. Both of them use the internet to communicate with my server at home to be able to communicate with each other. So everything starts with the sensor unit here. So this sensor unit has 4 different sensors. It has a CO2 sensor, a pressure sensor, a humidity, and a temperature sensor. And what happens is the Arduino starts off by reading the data from all of these. Then the Raspberry Pi down here communicates with the Arduino using Python, and then sends all the data that it got to the server over the internet. And then the server takes that data, and it stores it in a file over here. And then that file can be then used to display real-time data and train neural networks. So if we go to the interface that I was just talking about, this is the interface right here. We'll see that once every 2 seconds, oh, you can't see this. Here. Will this work? Oh. So you'll see once every 2 seconds, a new data point is added. So if I breathe on this humidity sensor really quick, you'll see that after a few seconds, there should be a rise in humidity. There we go. So oh, that's not good. Okay. So after that, we can also use this data to make predictions using artificial intelligence. So the specific type of AI that I used is called the LSTM, which stands for long short-term memory. And I used TensorFlow to train an AI. And if you look on the right, those are the results. The orange line is the results that the AI predicted, and the blue is the actual results. And as you can see, they are very close with very small margins of error. One of the most important parts of this system is the alarm. So I'm going to simulate a fire by putting a lighter under this temperature sensor for a couple of seconds. And after a certain threshold is breached, what will happen is the alarm will go off, and it will tell you that there is a fire. So I'm just going to wait for that to heat up. Hopefully. So not only that, but it can also text you and tell you that there is a fire. So I just got a text message from that telling me that the temperature has risen. Okay, so the sensor module here has this sensor unit costs about $100, and this response unit costs about $50. And this is a huge improvement over the current method where they have to build a whole building and buy the land and buy all the sensors, whereas this is much cheaper, and you can even get a much tighter network in it with a much lower cost. Other advantages include that it's able to be deployed anywhere, and as I said, it creates a much tighter network. It's also less prone to missing information than the equations because any missing information can be accounted for using the AI because the AI doesn't need to know the information. It can make guesses, and we don't have to make the guesses ourselves. It's also capable of sending notifications to smart devices like you just saw, meaning that people don't have to wait around and look on social media to be able to see what's happening. So in the future, I want to add a custom printed circuit board to lower costs, and I also want to build a cellular connection into it as well as solar panels to be able to allow it to run indefinitely and wherever. That's it.
Yeah, that seems like a really amazing product. And my question is, if it does work in an ideal setting, if you have these sensors placed all around the US, is your vision to be more of kind of like a private subscription-based model where people can sign up and get notifications, or are you looking for more of a governmental role where you could provide the service to everyone within the region?
I'm thinking more of a governmental role because I want to make this data that I'm collecting being able to be accessed by everyone so it can be used, and then we can even use this device to alert authorities so they can even contact more people through things like Amber Alerts or something like that.
So is the idea that this is going to replace weather stations, and it's going to be placed all over the U.S.? Is that what you were saying in the beginning?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So, Arthur, I want to say I really enjoyed your presentation. In particular, the moment where you breathed on it and we saw that change. That was wonderful. You said your question, I think, is predicting natural disasters. And what I'm sort of wondering about here is how do we know that the artificial intelligence will work? I mean, you described the cost for one of these, but presumably if we're going to be predicting natural disasters, we need a lot of them, and then we would need time, I'm guessing, to see if the artificial intelligence can form, and only then would we know if it worked. Is that correct?
So, there are already some AI models online that are already starting to predict natural disasters, but they don't have enough data because they usually predict it within like a city. Okay.
No, you're good.
Sorry, what was your question again? The second part of your question?
How will we know if it works?
So right now, you already saw that it can predict the temperature and humidity, all that stuff pretty accurately. So we already know some of the conditions. Like when I created this project, I aimed it towards like predicting hurricanes because a hurricane hit a couple of years ago, so that was on my mind. So some scientists already know a lot of the conditions necessary for a hurricane. So I was thinking if we could predict accurately the conditions needed for a hurricane, we could essentially predict a hurricane.
Yeah. I think that really elaborating and really explaining the neural network aspect of it will be useful, because I think like it was a little bit, you explained it, but I think if you just reiterate it and really say it explicitly, it would be a bit more clear. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Comments and feedback. So, the LSTM model that you described there, it's commonly used for, and you probably know this, it's commonly used to predict time series data. But what you're really trying to do is you are going to have many sensors, and I'm assuming you're going to actually have some other model that is taking the spatial data, the data from all these sensors across different locations to make a prediction, right? And you'll want to think about how many such sensors are needed in a typical city and what the cost might be to make that all happen. And even though you're expecting that the cost for land and things like that will not be needed, it will likely be something that would be needed, because you'd want to make sure that these things don't get orphaned, right? When you put it out there, you'd want to be in dedicated spots that is owned by the government or the entity that's owning this.
I was also thinking that instead of just having like the government or the company paying for all of these, we could actually sell these models so that people at home, because a lot of people want this IoT system, so we could use this to both supplement their IoT system and use it to create data for the greater good.
All right. Thank you, Arthur.
Okay, my name is Jimmy Yan, and my project is the key reminder. And here, okay. So the problem is that keys are an essential part of our daily routine, and a lot of people forget to bring their keys when they go out of their house or their room, especially me. According to Infogram.com, a total of 3,680 hours or 153 days is spent searching for stuff over our lifetimes. In China, there's like 1 million people losing their keys at night, in the night every year, and in Japan, that many people lose their keys, and in America, that many people lose their keys every night. And that's only car keys. For house keys, the data looks like this. My goal is trying to solve the struggles of losing or forgetting your keys, to make it smaller and more compact in the future, to make it easier to set up. How does my solution work? My solution, it has 2 ultrasonic sensors and 1 LED, wires, Arduino, reed switch, and a buzzer. Reed switch is to detect the magnet that is put on a case for the keys, and there is a key hanger here where you put your keys on there, and there's currently a magnet here, and if you take the magnet out, the Arduino detects that the keys aren't there anymore, and the LED will light up. Currently, I took out the buzzer because it's being very annoying, and so it should buzz for like 10 times straight if you walked outside the house with and the keys are still there. And the two ultrasonic sensors detect if you're going inside the house or outside the house, because if the first one triggers from the left side and the next one is triggered on the right side, then you're going outside, and if you're going in, it's the opposite. Yeah, and the case is printed with 3D printer, and yeah. So this is the hardware, and this is what it looks like inside. That's the 9-volt battery, and these are the ultrasonic sensors. That's the LED, and that's the Arduino. And the reed switch is placed inside the key hanger. So this is how my code works. It's scanning for the distance in the first sensor to see if there is anyone walking through it. And then it scans for the distance in the second sensor to also see if you're walking through that. If you only walk through the first one and didn't walk through the second one, it won't count it as you walk through it. And after you walk through it, it detects which way you're going, in or out. And if the keys are still on the key hanger, then it will alert you with buzzing. And if it doesn't, then it won't do anything, and it repeats over time. This is the cost/materials. Materials are these, and basically all of them are in our Arduino kit, which costs $59.99 full price. But a lot of this only used a few of the components in the full cost. So my product hasn't really been done before. Other products on the market are more like a anti-loss key, where if you go farther than like 5 meters from your keychains, it will alert you or text you on your phone. None of them are like reminding you to take your keys outside the house. For example, a product called Tile, the Tile Pro replaceable battery 2-pack is $55 plus $3.44 tax. But it does not do what mine does. It reminds you, and it records the last place you kept your keys, but this one will prevent that completely. Summarize, my product is not in any way similar to the other ones sold right now. Maybe it will be, but not right now. This product can really change your daily life, and it can save you a lot of time by not losing your keys and not spending so much time trying to find stuff every year. And my future goals is to make it smaller, easier to set up, and hopefully adding something that can actually alert you by texting to your phone, maybe an app that can control it through your device. And the stage I'm on right now is the prototype stage, and it will have more features yet to come. Questions?
Who wants to do it?
So when you have the, so you talked about a magnet that's there where you hang the key, is it? Mm-hmm. And that detects whether the key is placed there or not. Okay.
Jamie, I really enjoyed the question that you decided to take on. I have a question and a comment, just to clarify. This only helps if you're forgetting your keys leaving your own house, not if you're leaving like some other place, right? Okay, but still important. The comment is, I think it's a really nice idea, and along with your other goals, I think the aesthetics of the key holder will be important in marketing your product.
I thought the idea of the double trigger, having 2 sensors, is really smart. I think my question would be if, for example, you have 4 people in your house, or if you're just going out for like a quick stroll in your backyard, for example, is there a way to make it more convenient for people to go in and out of your house when you don't need your key?
Yes, I can make it also that if there's like multiple people walking through the thing at the same time, it will only detect the first person, then it will pause for a second because it will so it will stop and then it will wait for like a few seconds, then it will start detecting again, or else it will be very annoying.
Any other questions for the judges? Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea very much. In fact, when I travel, I often forget my keys in hotel, and I have to call the front desk. So maybe if you could also kind of talk to some of the hotel service group, they probably will have interest of similar concepts.
You can respond to this question.
Yeah. Okay. So.
It's not a question. It's a really
Yeah.
Honestly.
So yeah, I can really contact them because So I will have to improve my project first before I contact them, or else it will just seem like a silly idea.
All right. Everyone, round of applause for Jimmy. Okay. Up next, we have Vikram, who will be presenting now. Vikram, are you ready? Okay. Rachel, you're going to be going after the intermission, is that correct?
No, it's me.
Okay. Okay. Vikram, come here. Yeah. Oh, yes, okay. So put this in here. Put this on.
Where? Wait, what? Where? Okay. Tito was a boy who had nonverbal autism. Huh? Oh. Wait, Sid. Do I clip it on or do I just hold it? Good, ready?
Everyone. Vikram, start when you're ready.
Tito was a boy who had nonverbal autism. He had severe social issues and could not talk to anyone. That left him socially isolated, unable to live a normal life. This is what 24 million nonverbal autistic people experience when they do not know and cannot learn the words just to be able to speak. This poses a real problem, not just for them, but also for their families. So I intend to help. My name is Vikram Anantha. I'm in 7th grade, and this is the My Automated Communication Companion. The Mac is a personalized wearable system that will help people learn to speak by teaching them the words of what's in front of them. So the system has two machine learning algorithms. The first identifies objects, and the second recognizes speech. Here's a demo. So.
Laptop. Say laptop. Not quite. Laptop. Say laptop.
No.
Not quite. Laptop. Say laptop.
Laptop.
Good job.
So, what just happened? Well, you just saw
the camera take a picture of what was in front of me. Then it sent that image to the Raspberry Pi, where the Raspberry Pi used a deep learning neural network to identify the object in front of me. Then it took the name of that object and it outputted it on the speaker, and it prompted me to say that word. And after that, a microphone started recording, and I presumably said that word. To make sure that I did, the microphone stopped recording, and it sent that audio to the Raspberry Pi, where the Raspberry Pi used another deep learning neural network to recognize my speech. Finally, it compared what the object that I saw to what I said. If I said it right, then it congratulated me and was ready for the next input. If I was incorrect, then it gave me 2 more tries before moving on. Now, I've gotten a lot of feedback about my invention from many different people. When I met with Dr. Helen Tager-Flusberg, the world's leading expert on autism from Boston University, she told me that the system allows children to map words to objects based on what they're looking at, which today is very hard to do. She also told me that there aren't many other products out there that can do what my product does. The only one that comes close doesn't have a camera to give context for what they're looking at or what they're interested in. This means that they need joint eye contact, which doesn't usually happen because the nonverbal autistic person is usually looking around, not just in one place. My invention uses the gaze of the user so that wherever they are looking, it'll identify that object. There's another system out there that uses the system as a tool to communicate, which mine also accomplishes, but those cost around $500. Though mine can do all of those things, mine is significantly cheaper. As you can see here, each item averages to around $7, plus a small mini computer, which is the Raspberry Pi. The total cost for all components is around $63, which is fairly cheap considering that considering that when it's mass produced, that price will go down. Now, the Mac can accomplish this all today, but what about in the future? Well, the system will get smarter over time as we collect more data from our users. And facial recognition and identification of customizable objects is a work in progress. Also, right now, it can only identify objects, but soon we're going to make it identify actions so that the user can have both the noun and the verb so that they can formulate full sentences. As Dr. Helen Tager-Flusberg says, this is the future of autism technology, so that kids like Tito will be able to live a better life. Thank you.
Wow, nice job, Vikram.
Come back? Yes. No.
All right, who wants to go first?
Yeah, very impressive demonstration. My question to you is, what was the effort behind this, machine learning part? Did you work on it on yourself, or you also get some help from your mentors or collaborators?
There was a YouTube video sort of explaining how to set up the whole machine learning algorithm, but that only explains some of it, just like how to identify the objects. I had to put in the speaking and the speech recognition, so most of it was me. But then there was some help from other people and the YouTube video. So,
Vikram, this is an excellent presentation. There's a few things that I want to say. I'm really glad that you had an expert on autism in your presentation. I would encourage you to talk to as many experts as you can, and there are many of them, and I think they'll be interested to hear about your ideas. And if you can work in more experts into your presentation, I think that would be excellent. I also have 2 questions for you. The first question I have is, we saw how the device was accurately able to identify the laptop. My question is, how accurate is it at other objects? Does it ever get objects wrong? And then my other question is, I was wondering if you thought at all about working a game component into this where you get points for getting it right. It seems to me like that could be something that might really appeal, in particular to younger kids.
So it is pretty good at identifying other objects. It can identify 90 objects, and you can download more things that can train the network so that it can identify many more. And it is pretty good at identifying other objects. you can set it so that it'll only repeat the object if it is confident, if it's 60%, has a 60% confidence rate. And as for the game part, I was not thinking of that, but that is a really good idea, as yes, this project does appeal to more younger people, and yeah, that would be a great idea.
What were the design? What were the considerations that went into putting it in the hat that you have versus other places? The camera.
So I thought of the hat because having a hat is generally like more accepted, or like not accepted, but like it's more, people are more used to it. So if I just walk around with a hat, they're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And also a hat is more comfortable, whereas with glasses, it's like too many distractions. Like your sensory overloads are around here, plus you have that like frame, and it's just a little too much. And for the hat, it also like, it includes the microphone here and the Raspberry Pi in the back and the speakers and the camera. So it's just a pretty good place to keep it.
Ryan, any questions?
I just have a couple of comments. I really love the anecdote you used to open it up. I think it really helps set the scene. The idea of being able to learn in the real world as in your daily life, I think is really appealing. And I think it, just in the future, it might be cool to think about maybe trying to apply this for young kids trying to learn English or learn any language, in addition to its current use now, which is already really amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Round of applause for Vikram. One thing I do want to mention is that one of our KtByte instructors has come. His name is Andrew. He's in the back right there. Andrew, you teach intermediate and advanced computer science, right?
Yep. So, interesting system. Yep. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I've actually taught a lot of the students who are here. I do teach some of the more advanced courses, the AP Computer Science. I just got done with a round of that earlier today. Unfortunately, I can't stay very long, so I'll probably see like 2 or 3 presentations because I've got more classes to go to, running classes all Saturday. But it's really cool to see so many people here. I don't actually, we don't actually teach really the robotics side of things. We're all the teachers are really impressed with all the student leaders in the robotics club. So it's really an amazing job. So everyone in the club should be very happy you have your leadership here. Nice job.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, just to reiterate, this is a fully student-run program. We don't have any other adult instructors or full-time instructors helping with this. It's all done by high school and even middle school students on their busy weekends. So yeah, round of applause to the TAs and teachers out there. So Ronald, you are next. Are you ready, Ronald? Where's Ronald? We are moving some things around. Is Ronald here right now?
Yes, I am.
All right. Be responsive. What?
Electronics.
You know what? We are Oh, it's check. It's check.
Yeah, it's good.
Sorry, I had to rerun it.
No problem. Yeah, actually, so on that note, let's just drop it here. Let's take our short intermission right now.
Yes, let's do that.
To give some time for Ronald to set up his invention. Sorry, I didn't realize that it wasn't fully ready yet. But yeah, let's take a short and brief intermission right now. There are snacks in the back. And we will come back in 5 minutes, or 5 minutes. Okay. Should we turn this on?
Let's put the chairs around it.
Invention sees camera. Sees box. Sees ready.
Hello, my name is Ronald Howes, and I'm grade A, according to this thing, apparently. So my project is the Multi-Use Robotic Platform, or MERP for short. So this is the problem. It basically boils down to people only have 2 hands, and they can't really do too much. So what I'm trying to solve, I'm going to make a robotic platform that basically you can use as a second pair of hands, and you can switch in out parts for different applications. So how it works? So my thing uses an Arduino, which you probably already know. It's a microcontroller that controls inputs and outputs of data, along with some DC motors, which are a motor using a series of electromagnets to make it spin, and to control it alongside the Arduino is a shield, which adds added functionality. This one's a wireless motor shield, which allows it to work with XP. So here's my diagram. Shows all the parts. Here's the flowchart of the code. There's actually another function on this, which is if you press M, it uses whatever modular function you added to it. For example, this one, if you press M, it uses the fountain. So I used it based off the Motor Shield example code from the website, SparkFun website. So the modularity. So my device uses a paper towel holder to allow you to add and take off modular pieces such as this thing. So the attachments. Currently, I really only have a drink fountain, which uses a basket, a pump, a bottle of a drink, some cups, and the Arduino, which it attached to be able to dispense drinks. And another function is a table, which is just a basket that you put stuff on. So the cost of a robot is around $210 total, though I saved some parts like the paper towel holder. So the applications. So these are the things you could be used in the future for like surgeons for holding medical instruments, which they don't really want to drop. Waiters for food, which they also don't want to drop. And mechanics for holding tools, which they also don't want to drop. So compared to others. So moving tables, they're obscenely expensive. They're like $250 to thousands of dollars for just a table with wheels. And a locust warehouse bot, which it's more specialized function, which they use in warehouses for $30,000 to $35,000, which is basically another. It's like the Amazon warehouse things, but slightly cheaper. And to summarize, oh, I forgot to delete that slide. Anyways, I'm gonna for future goals, I'm gonna add collision detection, add some more functions like the fountain one, and make it be able to track me through a location pin, and use collision detection so it can just go follow you. And no questions yet. And actually, okay, let's see if it works. Sorry, this thing's a little bit buggy. I'm gonna fix that in the future too. Okay, you want some chocolate balls? Seriously, take some.
So in reality, overall, explain what in reality it should be.
So in reality, it's going to use some serial inputs to be able to control through the computer that just ran out of battery, which I'm going to be able to use control through XP using the computer, so it can remotely control it using serial inputs.
So what the idea was that you could press a button and it will automatically drive towards this certain location.
Yeah.
And in the future, you wanted to add functionality to make it completely autonomous.
Yeah.
All right, round of applause for Ronald. Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you move that over to the side over there and show them the different parts?
Okay. This thing's a ticking time bomb. Water and electronics do not mix.
Closer there. Yeah, so they, the question was that, can we see the actual robot? The space here is quite large, quite a lot of people here, so we can...
So we got this basket over here, which holds stuff. Right now has chocolate balls, I guess. Anyone want a chocolate ball? Nah. Anyways, this is a pump that pumps out the liquid from this bottle here. It could be juice or anything, but sticky watery mess is worse than a regular watery mess. There's this relay which powers the pump along with the battery. We have this big stack of 12-volt thing because I didn't think of just getting a 12-volt. I got the Shield and Arduino right here, and this little part is the XB, which allows wireless control. And I got the Arduino and stuff, the chassis, which is the same as some other guys too, but here it has like this treads, and anyways, that's the stuff.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Let's ask for the judges to have questions. So let's just give me this piece.
Yeah.
Okay. You just leave it here. Let's leave it here.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So now, yeah, put it on the floor. We have. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks kind of like. It looks kind of top heavy, and.
Future's going to be water, so it doesn't fall over and completely destroy the project with the water bottle.
So could you repeat that again?
Yeah, it is help heavy. That's why in future iterations I'm going to make it more wider so it's more balanced and probably give it more power so it doesn't fall over and along with the water bottle destroy the entire project in one go.
All right. So now we have some. Oh, even more questions. Yeah.
So does it have to connect to a computer to work?
That's a good question.
Yes, currently, because the XP hasn't been working yet, but it's going to get running in a few weeks, and in the future I'm going to make it even without even needing a computer, just have it go remote.
Yes. One last question from the audience.
Can we see the table function?
So yeah, see the table function. Explain really what that does. I'm trying to explain it.
It's a table. I don't have it on me.
So what basically Ronald is talking about is it's like a modular device. So this PVC pipe can be switched out with something else. You only have this module built currently, right?
Just currently on me, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So unfortunately, the table function is not there. Want to hold this? So, but right now that's the basket function. Let's have some questions from the judges now. Why don't you come closer so I don't run as much? Any questions?
Yeah, so I'm wondering how long have you been working on this project and how many iterations you went through?
I've been working on this project for about a year. This is my second iteration. The previous iteration was a plastic mess that I had the 3D pen hot glue together. It completely fell apart, so that's why I don't have that anymore. This is my second iteration, which I used an actual metal one. The other one was plastic and snapped in two.
Thank you.
We'll take one more question.
So is the idea that you would press a button and it goes through a pre-selected route, or is it something that...
It's more like remote control, or it follows you. Oh, okay. It's more like, it's like a remote controlled, or later it's going to be able to follow you around.
And I think one thing you also want to really reiterate in your presentation is that you can is the way you're going to make this autonomous with having a GPS chip and collision detection. Really emphasize that in your PowerPoint so that people understand that. But yeah, nice job. Round of applause. You can go take your mention and sit down now. So now we're going to go to Alex Sun. Jonathan, I think you're next after that. But okay, so the order is just try to keep it fast. Why? Because you don't have time. What do you mean? 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Keep it 4 minutes.
All right.
Oh. What did I do?
see this?
Are you all set, Rob?
I think so. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I'm the intermediate robotics instructor here. So today, I'm not going to be presenting you with a specific project that I have completed. So I'm going to be presenting a concept. So I would love feedback at the end about the concept of the idea that I'm going to be presenting. So, all right, it's called closed loop. And the clickers. Sid, how do I use this?
Just press once. Press the left click. Just use the keyboard.
Use the keyboard, okay. Cool. All right, so currently, what is the problem? So what my project is going to deal with clean rooms. So what are clean rooms? Clean rooms are controlled environments that are commonly used in many different industries, such as manufacturing and sometimes biotech and things like that. So what is a clean room? A clean room is a room in which everything is controlled. So the particles coming in and out are controlled. So they're used for specific purposes when there needs to be really good control of the environment. So the current problem is that the greatest cause of contamination of these clean rooms are currently actually people. So in the case in which a person would need to go in and work inside a clean room, 80% of the time the contamination would be caused by a human. Furthermore, for the proper supplies and the proper training to bring people in, it's extremely expensive. All right, so what is the goal of the concept that I will be providing you? So the goal is that the goal is to create a lower contamination clean room. So we want to maintain human control of the environment without necessarily bringing the human in to say contaminate it. But we also want to maintain efficiency. We want to maintain precision. We want to maintain human quality of work. So that is quite a difficult task, given that the human might never enter the room, and that is currently one of the best ways to. All right, so like right now, in order to do a specific task in the room, we would have a person go in, right? And that would contaminate, possibly. And what I'm aiming to do is just not bring the person in at all. So how am I going to do that? So what is closed loop? Closed loop is 4 parts. So it is a robotic arm, an apparatus that connects to your own arm, a camera and transmitter setup, as well as first-person view goggles. So what I plan to do is I plan to create a robotic arm that mimics the movements of your arm. So you'll be wearing a specific apparatus device on your arm, and as you move your arm, the arm within the room would mimic your movements exactly. And furthermore, to make it easier to control and to give you a very similar environment to the one that you would be experiencing, I'm going to have an eye setup and FPV goggles that will immerse you in the experience so that it is almost as if you are there working with your own arm. And that is the goal of the entire project. So first, on the robotic arm itself, it is created to mimic your arm specifically. Currently, I plan to have 6 servos on it, 2 servos representing a singular joint. So this right now is the concept of my shoulder joint. So this would represent your upper arm here, as if you can all see. I have 1 servo here that does this rotation that represents this movement of the arm, and 1 that does the up and down movement. So what we can do there is we can gain almost completely the same range of motion that you can if you were to just move. With just 2 motors, we would be able to gain completely almost the same range of motion that you can with your own arm. So with that, I intend to apply that to 3 joints, specifically your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder, and eventually add fingers, but that is in the future. So currently with commercial servos, they aren't able to hold a very heavy load. Currently, the strongest ones that I have are 17 kilogram per centimeter servos, which on an arm length of about 30 centimeters is looking at about 500 grams of total weight on the arm. So in order to make this arm work as efficiently as possible, I've had to go through a lot of work designing and figuring out a method of saving weight while still keeping the robustness that needs. So what I settled on was a mix of acrylic, carbon fiber, and 3D printed materials in order to help with the mounts. All right, so next, the controller of the arm, the master apparatus. So what I intend to do with this is I intend to, it's going to be strap-on Velcro. And what's going to happen is I'm going to use potentiometers. And each potentiometer is going to measure the angle of the movement of my arm. And what that's going to do is it's going to translate that into an angle and send it over to our servos. And our servos are going to try to match that. All right. And for the eye setup, it's just going to be a basic camera and transmitter. So yeah, these are commonly used in things such as FPV drone racing. Very, very low latency. The quality is not great, but for the amount of lack of latency, that it's extremely nice because it gives you that sense of real time, really there's almost no input delay that you can see visibly, which would give the user such a better experience and so much more precision and so much more control over their actual environment that they would be working in. So the cost is not great, but comparatively, put into all of the work, all of the money that you've already put into creating the clean room, it doesn't add up to that much. It adds up to about $150 without the FPV goggles. The goggles would add about $100 more for a good pair. So what that means is that, so what that does is in comparison to something like just buying clean suits individually for people, a clean suit can cost upwards of $100 for the cheapest models. And that's per person, while my apparatus can be simply taken off and put onto another person such that they can use almost the exact same way. So yeah, and moving on to future goals is I intend to add pressure sensors to the fingers of the actual arm, so that you would get the feedback. You'd create almost like a sense of actually touching something, because you'd only be basing it off visual feedback. But if there were those pressure sensors, then maybe we would be able to notify you when you're actually making contact with something. Furthermore, eventually I would like to add movement to the robot itself so that it could be able to navigate the clean room. And I would love to apply this to a greater problem than just clean rooms, because I think that if this can be done, it could revolutionize the world, and especially in fields such as space, where it might be cheaper to just send a robot that could mimic your movements, instead of just sending an astronaut. Why risk someone's life when you can have the exact same functionality of a device up there doing it instead? Thank you.
Nice job. So we only have maybe 1 to 2 minutes of question time.
So I have a comment and suggestion. So I think it's a great idea, and you can apply this to, like you said, to space and other problems. One thing you'll want to think about for a clean room type of application is there is actually a lot of value in a human being there actually doing that, especially the dexterity of the fingers and the feeling of that, really that's why you would need a actual human being there. So getting the right kind of sensors and the dexterity with the finger movement will end up becoming actually one of the critical things there. But there are other applications where that may not be as critical, like for remote applications like you're talking about, that may not, so you'll want to better understand that problem to see if it's totally applicable.
One more question.
Yeah, I like the idea very much. I think this could also find applications in, for example, robotic assisted surgical operations, right? Your concept could really extend the precision and I would say difficult to assess operations. So. What I really like to suggest you is to think about some of those engineering design tools like Sketch or CAD models that could really give you more precise I would say concepts and dimensions that you can incorporate the sensors into the overall design story, right?
All right, thank you so much. Round of applause for Alex. Next we have Will Hutter. So he is next. while we're doing this, we have two KtByte personnel who are also here with us, who have come. One of them is Catherine, who's walking in right now. She is part of the operations and management at KtByte. And there's also Qibong, who's one of the original members who founded KtByte. He teaches a lot of the advanced classes and is also doing operation now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, anything else to add?
Thanks for the introduction, Sidharth. So yes, like you said, my name is Qibong.
I'm Catherine.
I'm one of the instructors here, and I just want to say you guys are really impressive with your projects here that I've seen so far. By the way, this event is more major league than anything I've ever done for this company. Like the fact that you guys are wearing suits. I'm feeling a little bit intimidated and overshadowed by you. So good job, Sidharth. And yeah, I'm actually really, really inspired by so many students here that I've taught in the past, and some I haven't, to deliver such an amazing project for this event. So good job, everyone here. Catherine, do you want to add anything?
No, I can just add that honestly, it takes so much focus and determination and passion and support from all the parents also to host an event like this. So I really appreciate it, and thank you guys, judges, for coming in today too. So, all right, round of applause for everybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you to Catherine and Qibong. Now we're going to start with Will. And we'll continue on from there.
Alright, my project is called the Car Guard. So every year, 37 children die from heat stroke due to being locked in a car, as well as hundreds of pets. In 2018, 42 children died, which shows that this trend is on a rise. 54% of these parents who left their children in the car say that it was an accident, so I intend to fix that. The reason it gets so hot in a car is due to the greenhouse effect. On an 85-degree day, the temperature can rise to over 115 degrees in only 30 minutes. Yet, opening the windows a little bit does not reduce the temperature at all. Humans aren't really meant to withstand 150-degree temperatures and undergo heat stroke after around 100 degrees of To fix this, we would need a device that would be small and would remind parents that their kid is in the car. It would need to be consistent, but it also couldn't be annoying because otherwise they would just turn it off. I came up with something that used an accelerometer to tell if the car is parked and a motion detector to see if there's something in the car, as well as a temperature sensor to see if it's too hot, and and then a GSM shield to send a text to the parents. So the way the code works is first it checks for acceleration. Once the car or the device is still for 5 minutes, then it will start checking the temperature. Once the temperature is above 90 degrees, it'll check for motion. And once that's detected, it'll send the text and go on cooldown. So that dome type thing is the motion sensor. It's the thing that detects the motion. And the temperature sensor's over there. That's the GSM shield, which sends the texts, and that's the accelerometer. So the cost for one of these would be around $32, but that's just buying the parts off Amazon. So with a supplier, it would probably go down to around $20. The reason this invention would be impactful is because of its cheapness and its accessibility. GMC and Hyundai integrated something similar into their cars in 2018, yet people keep cars for long periods of time and often buy used. These could be installed into those cars for as low as $20. Also, it's less annoying as some of its competitors and only activates when the temperature reaches 90 degrees. This would keep parents from disabling it. Thank you.
Nice job, Will. So now we'll go on to a brief question period. So we can start with Ryan. You want to talk?
Sure. That was a really great presentation. I think my question is, what does the car moving have to do with the possibility of a heat stroke? I'm just wondering if you're trying to make it as simple as possible. Why go through that step?
So the point of it is it can just be left in a car. So the accelerometer is to see when it's actually parked. So you can just leave it on forever, basically.
Yeah. It's just to reiterate, it's just to make sure that it is
It's
just
parked.
you only activate it when the car is parked, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Does your system work right now? And have you tested?
Most of it does. The problem is it's coated, so it's only when it's above a certain temperature.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say? Oh, one for Ronald, yeah?
No, Owen.
Oh, Owen.
So my question for you is, will it detect motion that's going on outside of the car?
No, I don't think so. I haven't tested it, but it seems to only work like here. So if positioned at the top of the car, it will only view the back 3 seats.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Round of applause. Next person. We have to keep going soon. No, we can ask after. Okay. Sorry. So next up we have Jonathan, I believe. Yeah, Jonathan. I just want to say one note as you're getting everything ready. Oh yeah, so you need to unplug everything. What about the slides? The slides would be on here.
Yeah, the slides.
Slides on my computer.
I'll just.
Fine. Okay. So you unplug it. You have to connect it into here. Move this, connect it into here, then plug it into HDMI.
How do I change that?
What? You're gonna have to. I'll come up and help you with it. Okay. Tell me when your demo is. I'll help you with it. One note to mention is that Jonathan started very. Put this on the. Yeah.
But then it might tip over.
Just put it there. So Jonathan started in the beginning of this whole progress of the class, and he has become just flip it. It says Jonathan has started early on in the class, and he jumped from intermediate straight into advanced, developed his own project last year called RoboPostal, and did well in the regionals and got interviewed on TV at nationals by Ali Ward with Dimension Invention. Now after the great work on his project at NICE, he saw a great leader in him, and we made him the official teacher of the beginner class. And what he did is he completely revamped the old curriculum that was developed the summer before, and he made it now with these homework assignments, with these tests, and he's really changed the class curriculum. So this is work that Jonathan has done, and other students as well, including Boyan, who is not here right now, but Arthur and Alex. All these students have take this curriculum, they've worked with it, they've seen what works and what doesn't, and they've changed it and made it better over time. So that's definitely one thing that really should be applauded for. And now Jonathan's going to go with his project.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan. I've created the mobile teaching assistant. So, did you know that 93% of teachers say that they are either highly stressed or that they cannot cope with their stress? This is a really big issue because studies correlate teacher stress with worse student performance. So it is important for us to lower the stress level of teachers. And so what makes a teacher so stressed? So a teacher in a given week needs to teach, which can take up to 25 hours per week, and then the next thing down is to grade assessments, which can take another 10 hours. So I thought, well, how can we reduce the amount of time that a teacher needs to grade assessments? Well, currently there aren't that many solutions, and the current solutions can only scan something called the scantrons, or these long kind of SAT-style multiple choice papers. And many of them also require expensive equipment. So my goal is to reduce the teacher stress by automating short answer grading, and then this will ultimately improve student performance. Okay, so I thought to myself, how can I best do this? My invention needed to be easy to use, portable, affordable, and also have a camera to analyze text. So I thought that the best way to help teachers would be to create an app. So right now, let's go to the demo.
Not that one. This one. No, this one. Oh, okay. I see. Just get ready.
Just put it in here.
Get slides after this. Does that work?
Okay, I don't think it's working.
Start. Okay, so just expand. Wait. Give it a moment. Start expanding to them, but don't keep it on the computer.
Could I just turn it around? Unfortunately, this cannot be projected onto the main screen at the moment. Anyways, we start off, if everyone can see, right now it's at the home screen. We can click over at settings to change the settings. I've already pre-inputted some correct answers, and I've already completed a kind of a worksheet that we can grade. So let us go back. And then now we can click over at the camera grader. This is where it can actually grade a paper. Let's click on choose image, and then let me choose the image. And then it says results will go here. At the very top it says date, period, and then name. So it analyzes the name, date, and period, better for teachers to see. And then it says correct answers and 2. And then if it is not correct, it actually gives a partial credit count. If we go back to the settings, we can see that we have the correct answers, and then below that we also have partial credit. So it analyzes all of the work, and it also includes the partial credit to be able to tell the teacher if the student has completed the question correct, and if not, how many partial credit points did they receive. Okay. How does this do this? It uses machine learning and then we have to, okay.
Just start explaining.
Okay. So my invention actually uses machine learning, and a lot of people might ask, what exactly is machine learning? Machine learning is the act of training a computer to create something called a model. And then using this model, it can predict future inputs and outputs. So in my case, I'm using something called classification. Classification is where we can give in, let's say, an image, and then the machine learning model can analyze this classification image, and then it classifies it as any number, symbol, or letter. Right here is kind of the app. We start off at the home. You can go over to the settings, and we can also come back to the camera grader. Yeah, I started explaining this a little bit earlier. So machine learning takes in data to create a model, and here's a useful image that you can take a look at. We have in training data, then we train the algorithm to create a hypothesis, and then based on its performance, we give feedback to retrain the machine learning. algorithm. All right, and how do I implement this? We start off with data feeding, where we break down these images into tiny little blocks. Then we can feed these blocks into the algorithm where the data is processed. I'm using something called MLKit provided by Google to be able to analyze this using something called an API. Then based on the output, I can break up the next images into small blocks, and then I process the images. My code is written in Swift. It's coded in something called Xcode, and it's made for iOS devices, like, for example, iPhones. And a really neat thing about apps is that all that is needed to release it is $99 for an App Store account, and then a little bit of advertising. But the cost for releasing it is the same for one person as it is for 1 million people. And I would most likely release it with a paid and free version, with the paid version having more features like mass grading, where you can submit 100 images and then have an ability to export into Excel. And in the future, I would like to also I'm creating some Python machine learning models because the current machine learning models, they're designed more for text written by a computer, not for handwriting. So I would like to be able to identify messy handwriting better, which I'm currently developing in Python, and I would like to move that into Xcode and also allow kind of like mass grading. All right. So in summary, my invention solves a really big problem of having teachers being stressed out, and so this is designed to improve student performance. All right, thank you.
Definitely. So we only have time for a few questions, but I think we'll give it to, I think someone here gets a bit of a priority first. This goes to Mr. Werner, who actually is a math teacher.
So Jonathan, I want to start out by saying I appreciate the you taking on this challenge because it is an important, it does take a lot of time for teachers, and I think your ideas about how to take it on, especially from the technical side, are really thoughtful. I have concerns though, and my chief concerns are, at a glance, and you can tell me if I'm incorrect on this. It seems like this app would be quite effective for very short answer type questions, where you're just looking for a word or two. But those sort of short answer questions are very, very fast for teachers to grade. So that's not the sort of grading that takes 10 hours. If you could find something that could thoughtfully grade an essay or thoughtfully grade a mathematical proof, that would be to me where the real impact would be in terms of the time that it takes teachers to grade. So I'm wondering, how strong is the machine learning? What level of question can it take on? If it's only relatively short answers, that might not be particularly impactful. Also, how much do teachers need to program in order for it to work? So, if you need to program in lots of different possible answers that would require different amounts of partial credit, that might sort of counterbalance some of the speed that you get back from that. So I'm curious to hear you speak to all of those comments.
So for your second point, it can kind of take away spaces or those kinds of issues. It can also right now it changes. So if it's close enough as the image, because there are some, it might not be like 100% accurate, but it does look at how accurate it is, and then if it's close enough, then it does grade either correct or not. So kind of like camera issues, if the camera's not that good, it generally still works. And then one of the points for grading short answer issues, problems, is that when you grade those, it can either be yes or no, but then there's also partial credit. So my invention is designed to help with partial credit grading too, to limit the teacher to only grade those long open response questions.
All right.
What kinds of things does it work for right now? Does it work right now?
The question was, what kind of things does it work for right now, Jonathan?
Can you give a couple of examples? I mean, other than multiple choice questions.
So examples for that.
So my demonstration showed in kind of short answer response. So that's currently what it's designed for.
All right. Round of applause for Jonathan. Katerina is also one of the other inventors who went to nationals last year and is now presenting her next and newly updated, actually completely new invention this year. Want to keep this somewhere in the pocket?
I don't have a pocket.
Okay.
Okay, that works.
Just hold this.
Okay. Hello, my name is Katerina Long. I'm in 6th grade. I go to Jonas Clark Middle School. Wait, how do you?
Oh, sorry. Do you have the mouse?
What?
The mouse? The mouse? Here, just.
No.
The mouse. Just press it.
Wait, what?
See the mouse, right? Just click it to go next. Okay.
Wait, what?
Okay, just press the arrow.
Okay.
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 All right. Ready? Start again.
Hello, my name.
Wait, Karen. Just be a little louder as well.
Hi. Hello, my name is Katerina Long. I'm in 6th grade and I go to Jonas Clark Middle School. The problem is that plants are hard to care for. What if we could have a portable garden? Most people don't know how to take care of plants, or maybe they don't have the materials, or maybe the time. What Water My Plants does is that it makes sure that the plant gets enough water and it doesn't overripe. I made this project because I planted radishes once. The first week was fine, but then I started to forget to water the plants, and eventually they died out of water loss. So then I thought, wouldn't an automatic watering device be much easier to handle? So I started to make this project. What it does is that it automatically waters your plants and tells you when it's right. Also texts you if the tank is empty. So I used a pump which like takes in water from one hole and sprays it to the plant and from another hole. And I used the water sensor to sense if the tank is empty or not, and if it is, it will text you. Also used the soil moisture sensor, which senses the soil moisture of the plant, and if it's too dry, it will text you. And I used the LCD and a keypad so that it can text to the right number. So you enter your phone number, and you also put in what type of plant you want to grow. I also used a relay. I can't really show. I also used a relay, which is like basically a switch to turn the pump on and off when the soil moisture is low or high, and an Arduino, which basically controls everything. I also used the GSM Shield to text to make the texting actually work. The code part of my project sets up everything, and it's really important because it makes everything run correctly. So how it works is that you first put in your phone number and what type of plant you're going to grow, and then it starts detecting soil moisture 60 times a second. Then, if the soil moisture is low, the pump would then run. If there is no water, it will then text to your phone number that the tank is empty. Also, if the color sensor detects the color of the plant when it's right that you entered, then it will also text you that your plant is right. And then I also have texting, which is really important in my project because it makes sure that you actually know when to fill in the tank. Because without texting, you wouldn't really know if the tank is out if you're on a vacation. Other competitors include online videos of other projects, but my project has more functions than them. My project includes texting because other people, they don't really know if the tank is empty, and if they're on a vacation, their plant might die. And texting is also really important for the plant when it's right because sometimes people don't know when plants are right. In the future, I hope to also have a battery pack So like instead, it doesn't have to be always plugged in for it to run, and like so you can move it around easily. Yeah, and I would like to thank Sid, Arthur, and Alex for this project to actually work, for helping me.
Nice job.
All right, okay.
So we'll have a brief question session now. You want to start?
So the with the color, you would, when you input the kind of plant you're growing, it's going to look up what kind of color would represent the ripeness, and then use that. Is that how you're thinking about it?
So like so like I have different plants and like so that you can choose from. So like if it's a tomato, when it's like red or orange, it will like text you. Yeah.
First off, Katerina, I really enjoyed your presentation. I think you're addressing a key need. My question for you is, how much testing have you done in terms of how well this has worked with different plants? How much chance have you had to really test it out?
I mean, like, it works really well because like it like texts. I mean, wait, you asked if how well it works, right? And like you have many plants to choose from. Like, yeah, like you have a default plant which like turns green. Like if it's really green, then it will text you. And I have like if it's blue flower, red flower, green flower, yeah. And I have a tomato because it was originally used for tomatoes, but yeah.
I guess tomatoes are taking a long time to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other? I think he's asking, is there anything else other than those plants you've really tested on, or it's those just the ones you've used?
Well, I tested my project with like different type of plants too. Yeah.
And those are?
Those are like there's a campbell flower which like turns which is a purple flower, and I tried it with I also tried it with a few other flowers. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, very nice presentation. I'm wondering what was the most challenging part when you kind of come to this concept and tried it on.
Well, I think like the most challenging part was like for the pump to work, because like the pump really I used to use like just a regular pin, like connecting the pump to a digital pin, but then it didn't work. So like I kept trying different methods until I found a good solution for it to run. Yeah.
All right. Round of applause for Katerina. Any other comments to make? Very well done. And what grade are you in right now?
6th.
6th grade. So you're just starting middle school. Wow. So now we have Sophie Wang. Yeah, just move it out there. Sophie is going to present hers now. Yeah. Do you have a pocket on you?
No.
Okay, you're going to have to hold it too. Do you want to just keep it on right here? That's true. Do you know whose sister this is? Just a little bit.
Do you update the slides?
What? Yeah. Just. Oh.
Which new ones? Like
No, yeah, no. Yeah. Sophie, want to say who your sister is? Tell Ryan.
Wait, what?
Go, tell her.
Which grade are you?
I'm in 7th grade. My name is Sophie Wang, and I'm a 7th grader. So imagine you're having some friends over for dinner, and you're cooking in the kitchen, and you leave the room to go talk to your friends. So in the US, 90% of the 126 million households have a stove. And according to Wallflower, unattended stoves are the leading causes of kitchen fires. In 2016, there were 63,000 kitchen fires, 700 deaths, 6,500 injuries, and $3.7 billion worth of property damage. Unattended stoves are especially relevant for elderly, as 56% of cooking fire death victims are people over the age of 55. So my goal is to create a device that can make cooking, especially for the elderly, safer and to prevent cooking fires in general. My device needs to be able to detect whether there's a stove fire, detect if there's any motion, and contact the resident through SMS or email, as well as set off a small alarm near the kitchen. It needs to be cheap, easy to use, and not really big. And it also needs to be able to attach in the wall or ceiling near the stove. So I used an Arduino board, which is a microcontroller. I used an Arduino flame module, which senses IR light, which is a light that's emitted by fire. There's a buzzer that can, it's an audio signaling device, so it creates noise. A PIR sensor, which is passive infrared, can detect motion, and a GSM module is a mobile communication modem. So first, the flame module will sense for fire, the PIR sensor will sense for motion, and if there's a fire detected and there's no motion detected, then my device will start to track how much time has passed. And if 10 minutes pass and no motion is detected, but there's still the stove detected, then the text message will be sent, the buzzer will go off, and the LED will flash. First, my device will sense for fire and sense for motion. And if there's fire but no motion detected, it will start to, it will either begin a timer or continue the timer. But if the fire isn't detected or there's motion detected, that means, which would mean there's someone there attendant, like cooking the fire, then the timer will be reset to 0. And it will also check the time, and if the time exceeds the time limit, it will set off the buzzer and LED as well as send the text message. So I calculated the bulk cost and single component price cost from buying off of Amazon. So if you buy a single piece of each component, the total cost is around $35, and it's $35.76. But if you buy them in bulk packs, the total bulk price for 30 would be $622.10, which is about $20.74 per device. So other products that are out in the market, one of them is the 2GIG stove and grill guard sensor. So this you install it inside the knob of a grill or stove, and instead of sensing for fire, it senses how much the knob is turned. It's water resistant, and the battery lasts for 5 years, but the battery is not replaceable. It requires a very specific security panel. So if you don't have that specific security panel, you can't use the device, and it needs to be installed inside the stove knob. A similar one, a different one, is the iGuard stove. This one is much more advanced. It can shut off the stove after 5 minutes automatically, but there's also many different locks and settings. So it can prevent the stove from turning on at all during the night or something like that. There's you can monitor it on your smartphone or a smart device, but you need to install it inside the wall, and it costs from $595 to $725. So my first prototype was about 5 inches by 8 inches long, and there was no PIR sensor or GSM in it, so it couldn't detect motion and it couldn't send any text. And it would only flash and beep if a flame was detected. So right now, it's a little smaller at approximately 7 by 3 inches. But in my for future goals, so currently I have a GSM module, but I haven't been able to get it to actually send text successfully. So I want to have it have a successful way to contact the resident. And I also want to have a more precise or sensitive way to detect a stove fire. And I want to make it a little easier to use, and by installing or by putting in an LCD and a number keypad so that you can input your phone number. And I also want to add a 3D printed shell.
Nice job, Sophie. So one thing I would just mention is when talking about the other competitors, just try to summarize the stuff and not go too into detail, because there is a time limit on the presentation next week. But yeah, we'll take maybe 1 or 2 questions from the judging panel. Ryan?
I thought the idea was really great, and it definitely addresses a huge need. And I think an area where you could expand this might be more in common areas like dorm kitchens and places where people might not be as caring and as thoughtful. One question would be, how far away from the stove does the sensor need to be? Is it more of a heat sensor?
It senses the IR light that's emitted by stoves. So the sensor that I'm using, it's not that strong, but it can still sense probably at least a few feet.
One more question.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. In particular, for elderly people, I think there is a really crucial need for, some of those security or safety measures. I'll say, kind of messaging system probably could also reflect the needs of the elderly people, because if you trigger an alarm, that may not be really the best option for them, right? Sometimes it's a rather, I'll say, a reminder or some kind of messaging that provide assistance for them is more valuable.
And just wait, 1 more question, and we can come back.
Yeah, two quick things. First, I think this is an excellent idea, but I have questions as to how this would work for certain recipes where you need to let something simmer for 3 or 4 hours. Would they be contacted every 10 minutes during that time period? The other question I have is, if I'm understanding it correctly, your invention works based on flames, which would apply to gas stoves. Does it also work for electric stoves?
Yeah. Mr. Werner likes to cook a lot, so he would know.
I would have to look into that, but it is slightly heat based, so I think it probably would.
All right, great job, Sophie. Nice job. Rachel is next. So Rachel, what grade are you in, Rachel?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore in. Yeah, just go ahead.
Hi, I'm Rachel Mann, and my invention is the MedHelper, which is an autonomous medicine delivery robot. So do I click? So the third leading cause of error in hospitals is actually due to medical error. And my vision was to create a delivery robot, which I named MedHelper, which can transfer medical supplies reliably, efficiently, and punctually within the hospital environment. My solution was to integrate a 3-wheeled vehicle, and it can carry medication and supplies up to 0.5 kilograms. There are 3 major steps in this. First, it deals with maneuvering. It can align with the hospital corridors and the environment. The second part is it can extract different information depending on the patient and the rooms. And the third part is communication, and it communicate with the master computer in order to receive info and communicate effectively. So here is what it looks like. You can see it here. Here are the various microcontrollers being used within the system. And here's the schematic. You can see I have my main Arduino board connected to motor drivers with left and right motors, as well as ultrasonic sensors. I also have a 9-axis IMU, which I'm using for the gyroscope. I also have an RFID board connected to the bottom of the structure, and that's connected also to the 2.4 gigahertz wireless transceiver, the transmitter module. And on the master computer, I also have the receiver module connected to the computer. So the way I'm able to auto-adjust and automatically align my vehicle is through ultrasonic sensors. By sensing the distance between the nearest wall and the vehicle, it is able to automatically adjust and calibrate itself little by little. So if the motors are just a little bit off, it can readjust so that it goes in like a really straight line in order to stay in its own lane. I also use for maneuvering this 9-axis IMU. I have it used for the gyroscope. It's able to tell the change in the angle of the vehicle every single second, and I have a constant summation of this angle. So I'm able to tell where in angularly it is in comparison to the starting position, which is straight. So if I'm able to turn to the wall, it is able to calibrate itself like perfectly like 90 degrees in the wall and be able to manage itself automatically. So in here, this test, it's kind of dark. It is able to perfectly align with the corridor of the wall and go 90 degrees. I also have programmed an optimization of route. It basically attaches itself to the wall, and so it goes straight as a default, and also if the right wall isn't present, it turns right, and then in any other circumstance, it will turn left. So therefore, it'll attach itself basically to the right wall. And in this format, it's able to go in a perimeter-like manner, and it can browse the perimeter of every single, most of the major hospital corridors that you see within the hospital environment. I'm also utilizing the RFID tagging system. Now, it comes with a tag, like a scanner, and it reads the cards. So there's tags and a cards. And then I'm putting the tag on the bottom of the vehicle, and I'm placing the cards onto the ground. So when it goes over the cards, it's able to read the different information encoded on the cards. You can definitely change it depending on where you buy the cards. You're able to encode it with different information, and that can be changed depending on maybe the patient or the patient's room. It really depends. And it stores up to 2 kilobytes of data, and each one has a unique ID, so you can keep track of which card is which. For example, if you want to maybe attach one at a certain door, or you can keep it as a checkpoint, or put it near like an elevator so it doesn't go into the elevator, it's able to do that. This is much better than some other places which uses a QR code, because if you scan any place on the card, it's able to tell the UID and all the information, while the QR code has to match up exactly with the vehicle. So this is more flexible that way. As seen here, when the vehicle runs over the card, it is able to transmit the information here, and depending on which one it is, which card it is able to send different info. I'm also utilizing the 2.4 gigahertz wireless transceiver system in order to send and receive information, so you don't have to do the delivering yourself. You sit down at the computer and you receive all the data. So it utilizes 2 modules, the transmitter and the receiver. You attach one to the vehicle, you attach the second one to the master computer, and so when information is sent, or you can definitely program and set this, you can receive everything that is going on. So here are all the costs of all my modules. Most of all, I think it was the structure that cost the most. And this is way more, I think it's way cheaper than any of the other delivery robots people have. I think most of the delivery robots have a GPS because they deliver outside, but it's harder in a hospital environment where you're inside and it's in a contained environment that needs to be flexible. So one of the other competitors could be Amazon Kiva. So the Amazon Kiva robots deliver based upon, the way you do it is you construct the route based upon tape on the floor, and the tape contains the QR code so that whenever the Amazon robot follows the QR code, it can go on this predestined path. The problem is that if you took one of these and you put it into another Amazon warehouse, it wouldn't know where to go, or you have to change the QR code, and that might be difficult. Or if you want to expand upon that warehouse, you need to reset every single part of the tape that's in each robot, and that's hard and takes a lot. However, my robot is very flexible and is able to peruse the perimeter of most hospital floors. Therefore, if you were to add to it, for example, you would be able to access that part of the floor without rerouting any of the previous tape if you had this kind of robot. Some of the additional features, like very small features, I'd like to put on the robot would probably be like the buzzer, just as an indication of when it gets there, and also a force resistance sensor for to put on like specific medical weights, and if you like, it senses when you take the weight off. Okay, thank you.
The RFID cards again. Can you explain that? It's meant to be kept on the floor instead of QR codes?
Yeah, it's like taped or attached to the floor, and when the reader runs over it, it's able to extract all the information on the card.
Question. You have a question?
So could you also explain what was the most difficult or challenging part during the overall development or conception process?
So I think in general, it's really hard to assemble this many sensors together, and whenever you put a new one, everything just seems to fall apart, and you have to make sure that everything works well together. I think there were two ones that had to use this specific procedure, and I had to make sure they worked on the same line, and connecting it all together was very difficult.
All right, round of applause. Thank you. Now we have one last presentation before we get on with our keynote address from Professor Nicholas Fang and our award ceremony. That last person is William Zhang. You want to come up now? It's quite the apparatus. Do you want me to assist with anything, William? Okay, he knows what he's doing. Give me 1 second. Can I just put my... Can you open this pocket?
Yeah, it's
sorry, my pocket. Can you do a pocket? Okay. Can you put this in your pocket, see? William, make sure you give the judges the camera, the iPad.
Yeah.
No, like do it when you're doing the demo.
Yes. Okay. So, hello.
Speak loud.
Yeah. Hello, I'm William. I'm in 6th grade, and this is my project. It's called DuckBot. It's a robot that cleans the vents. So, badly cleaned vents create problems with your lungs and may cause diseases or aggravate them. Air ducts are hard to inspect and clean. They have to pull up a truck, get a tube, get the tube all the way up, and then sometimes in like large commercial buildings, they even like climb in the vents, which is hazardous. So what I plan to accomplish is to give the user easy access and maneuverability inside the air vents, and to give the user real-time video here. The ability to clean all sides of the air vent, air duct. And to have automated cleaning programs, which is, I'm still working on it. It's coming in the future. So these are some of the key components. This is the robotic arm, this part. The vacuum on the back here. The remote control, this thingy. The Arduino board, which is hot glued onto the chassis. And the main chassis, which has the motors with the camera. So the vehicle is I think it's aluminum chassis with two motors, two DC 12 motors to move around and to give it, and there's also caterpillar tracks to give it the best traction and the ability to climb over obstacles. So this is how the remote controlling works. The Arduino scans for signals from this thing. Well, this thing scans for the signals, and then this sends the stuff that it received through wires to the Arduino. The Arduino picks up the signals, analyzes it, and then sends it to the parts, and then the parts do the action and repeat. So my vacuum is basically a motor with a fan on it, and the fan sends the air out of these holes, and the air comes in through the tube to the filter, which filters the air, and all the dust gets caught here, and yeah. And I also have a vacuum head with a tube. So the arm is made from Lego pieces. It is attached to the head, and it uses two servo motors here and here to turn and go up and down. So the camera. Here.
Show it to the audience first.
Yeah. Can switch it. It's slightly buggy sometimes. Oh well. So this is the camera. It's currently in infrared mode. Yeah. It sends a signal, this router, to your iPad or cell phone, so you can look at what's happening inside the vents. So, demo time. Oh shoot. So, I'm gonna place this in. There's little tissue pieces. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, there's another hole on this side. Wait. Oh yeah. Sorry, forgot to plug it in. Also blows with the back. I'm just gonna go in again. Get a full sweep. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So other products like this are on the market currently, but my robot is better in many ways, like how it can blow and it can vacuum, and other models, unlike my robot, are bulky like this and also need like giant vacuums and are extremely expensive. As you can see, the average price ranges from $3,000 to $10,000. So mine, the most expensive thing is actually really the chassis, with estimated total of around $150. So in the future, I want to make DuctBot completely automated, so it can go. You can just put it in the air duct, like make it have a setting to go automated cleaning, and it'll just clean the whole vent for you. You don't even have to look. It's going to incorporate sensors such as the IR sensor, infrared, and the ultrasonic sensor. Questions?
Wow. That was quite the demo, wasn't it?
Very impressive.
So let's take a few questions. This is our last presentation, so after this we're going to have our keynotes address. We'll take one question here. We asked Owen last time, we can go to you this time.
It looks like the vacuum cleaner nozzle is only can only go up and down. Is there a way to modify so it can go vacuum the sides as well?
Yes.
He said yes.
Yes. You can turn the thing. I currently do not have enough channels on the remote control to add another servo motor, but this thing, I can lift it and then turn the head, and then physically with the thing turned, so it can vacuum the sides.
Okay, questions from the judges.
William, this is outstanding. I loved your demonstration. That was great. My only real question for you is in terms of testing for robustness, if it encounters something sharp or something sticky or something that's at a weird angle, how much testing of that sort have you been able to do?
Yeah, I've made my sister drive around the house, and it can climb over most small objects. And about sticky stuff at weird angles, it can, if it's sticky, then I don't think it's powerful enough, but it has a vacuum to suck most things in. Yeah.
Okay.
This is really great. How long do you think the battery will last for you to because you're running a vacuum?
Running a vacuum with it. So probably an hour, half an hour. I don't know. I haven't kept it running for a long time yet.
You'll want to test that.
Yeah.
This is a pretty cool rig for the vacuum.
It is.
What is it made out of? This is a takeoff box, right?
Yeah.
The vacuum is a takeoff box.
Yeah. William, congratulations for this excellent demo. I'm curious about how many times you tried and what is the worst failure you ever had during the all this kind of experiments.
Yes.
Well, one fatal mistake I made was I started this thing and then kind of laid off this project for a month or two, and then I came back and I forgot how the motors worked, and I'm oof, and they stopped working. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, amazing job. I love the demo, and it definitely addresses a huge need out there.
Yeah, go ahead. Nice, amazing job, William. Now that concludes the judging section of this program. We're now going to have our keynote speaker give a speech, and after that we'll have the award ceremony. But yeah. Are you gonna?
You don't mind? I can.
Yeah, you're gonna put your.
On my computer?
Sure. Is it HDMI?
Yes, HDMI.
Okay. Does it work with
Yeah.
This?
Yeah, it works. With
Okay,
this
perfect.
too.
I don't think the other one cord works.
All right.
Maybe we might have time at the end to have questions.
Sure.
Just like 15 minutes.
Sure. Sounds good. Okay. All right. So let me see if I can you hear me okay from the back? Yes. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Nick Fang. It's really a great pleasure to join this exciting event of I would say talented students and many future engineers. And I'm also a parent of KtByte kids. Actually, Olivia is standing on the back. Thanks for really teaching Olivia about all this exciting programming skills. So just a few words about myself. I'm a mechanical engineer by training. I also get a bachelor's and master's degrees of physics before I come into the US. And my research is primarily focusing on small things, tiny sensors, tiny structures. This is why I called my talk as to see the world in the grain of a sand. But I'm not going to talk too much about my research today. Rather, I would like to share with you about a philosophy that we have seen really from this great event, learning by doing, hands-on and minds-on. So let me begin by something that's really of a Arduino based kind of a teaching experience by nature. This is a ducky tongue that my colleague, Zhang Leonard and Professor Tom Hong actually built together. And this all started by a class that really launched in spring of 2016. And today there are more than 400 different I would say community and supporters who really run this across the world. And through this, the hope is now we could really show you the future of autonomous vehicles as they actually learn and improve the skills of, for example, avoidance and finding ways, for example, even to provide to policymakers how to really handle, for example, severe accidents and regulations. So this is really just a very flavor of mechanical engineering at MIT. We have a lot of things in common with KtByte in that sense. We like to really teach you, and we like to learn from students. We like to learn from great engineers with a lot of creativity and originality. The slight difference that we take and emphasize in our class, in our campus education, is on the hardware side. We really like to build and learn from all the miserable failures to some extent, and find out solutions based on all those difficult challenges, and using those to seek help and seek input for theoretical foundations, more solid stories. And you may have heard of, for example, this mini cheetah. One of the colleagues, Sanbei Kim, actually really take his career to teach this tiny little robot to now to do a backward turn. You may have seen some of those in the TV. And this expands to many other examples. Today we heard of many amazing examples how to apply sensors in the real world. This actually can be used now to solve many different things in manufacturing, in energy, and in different domains of health and environment. So taking that ducky tongue as an example, this is really not possible if we did not have a large group of volunteers who committed their time, who add their expertise in support of this really pilot class. it took 3 different departments, many students, postdocs, not to mention Professor John Leonard and Professor Hall. By the way, because of this, great success of this, today, Dakitang really become almost like, the educational model for many, I would say, institutions across the world who are really now, start to take the advantage of such an open source and I would say now hands-on experience. And I should say that once again, this goes beyond just programming skills. This actually requires a lot of now detailed knowledge, detailed say input from different domains, different expertise that strengthen their effort. And again, going back to the hardware stories, my research is focusing on sensors. Sometimes those sensors are too small to be seen even under the regular microscope or the best camera that you may have. But today, this is already installed in many of those cell phones, for example, within your cell phone camera or say Wi-Fi, like Wii type of a gasket. There are more than 10 different sensors. We heard of a lot of engineering ideas today to use those sensors, actuators, and say cameras and so on to measure different physical parameters. But what we really wanted to teach and put emphasis on is how to really interpret the data or how to even place those sensors to the right location by, for example, understanding better why those sensors are designed in such a way and how they actually translate the physical domain signals to something that you can now analyze using computer regimes. So we think there is a great future for the Internet of Things to boom, but there is certainly a need to combine the expertise of, for example, the physical domain sensing systems towards for all this machine learning that we heard or artificial intelligence that programming actually could enable. So this semester, actually, I happen to be teaching this particular class called Micro Nano Engineering Laboratory. And through this class, we offered, I'll say, now really different hands-on experience in the domains of sensing, in the domains of how to make some of the sensors, including some of this nanoscale structures, carbon nanotubes, forests of them that really could now be assembled and rendered so that they repel even water from attaching or sticking onto the surface. You will also have a chance to learn if you, for example, had a chance to come to MIT and visit the lab. You will also have a chance to see how, for example, those individual cantilever or artificial devices allow you to measure and detect small features down to the scale of single atoms. And this brings back to, again, what we would need to interface and interact with those sensors in order to make them more efficient. So let me just talk about one aspect that I'm more familiar and that really goes to the research that connect the physical world and I would say the virtual world. And this is really an example of a 3D printing process. But this particular 3D printing process really allows you to design fine features down to the scale of smaller than for example a human hair, and build a more complex structure layer by layer, slice by slice, using a projection system like what we do for today's presentation, and it's almost like you are sending a slow movie through this projector, and you build now structures in real time. So this all started by my PhD years, and in the past almost 15 years and so on, we have went through many iterations. 10 or more different students and postdocs actually contributed, different aspects of this project. And today we are really able to now make it to the accuracy that are almost comparable to that of a subtractive process like a machine or CNC machine. So coming back to the classes, the original tool that we are developing are much more expensive. We heard of the cost issues today many times, and thanks to different high school teachers and I'll say energetic students like some of you guys, we really were able to go through different experiments and make it now really available and accessible to students from even rural areas. So they can really take this simple concept of printing and make it to now work with I'll say minimal input in the engineering domain. And today we are also using that for part of this, for example, college education, including that one that I mentioned for the lab. So it has been already 12 years past. So some of the earlier, I'll say, heroes behind this, they were like you in today's presentation by the time I first met with them. But today they are already becoming also graduate students, and some of them are now heavily involved in the engineering education. So I'm really proud of this kind of opportunity to meet and interact with those talented kids. So again, this is not just only a hands-on experience, but it also involves some of deep math. I'm really glad to hear many of insightful comments from Dr. Werner today. So this is really to now bring the connection again from this physical domain and a link to some of the conceptual and abstract thinking using your mathematical skills. And those are all actually contributed by talented students that we had a chance to collaborate with. So with that, I really feel grateful to meet and listen to many of those exciting talks today. And I wish you will have a chance to come and build a stronger community, and hopefully some of you will find engineering really the career to pursue. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
So a lot of the students here are really young, and they will someday go to the hopefully MIT. Do you have some advices for those students who have some ambition like that, and also especially in the engineering field?
Yeah, so the question was, what advice do you have for students who want to go into MIT engineering?
Well, thank you for your interest and enthusiasm to come to the engineering world. MIT is a small campus. We wish to really collaborate and interact with as many talented students as possible. But please, do bear with us. We are not, at the capacity to, host all of them. With that being said, I think the most important part for, those future rising stars are first, I'll say this is an endurance game, and a lot of times your hard work pays, and I'll say interest of pursuing now a science and engineering based career really depends on how many obstacles we have went through. The problems of learning by doing is really reflecting on how to handle failures, how to really learn from the lessons, and not only just to solve homework assignment. I think That's one lessons I learned. And the other lessons I learned is that regardless of the first initial decisions of admission or any of those challenges that you may have seen, there are always new encounters, new opportunities. One of our former alumni who wrote a book about Astro Boy. You probably have heard of his name, Massimo, an astronaut. So before he became an astronaut, he was admitted to MIT. So it turns out that the MIT admission is easier than that of, choice of NASA selection. And he even became a professor at MIT before he really went on to the spaceship. So he tried at least 3 times, and the beginning 2 times, there was really, no positive result. But since this is his passion, he continued, and he made it to the end. So I think that's the lessons we learned. Persistence, really will make the difference. And I'll say a lot of our kids today really have already demonstrated their capabilities to go through many of those different obstacles. Thank you.
Thank you. One more round of applause for our keynote speaker. I'd like to also thank all the judges for being here today, Mr. Werner, Mr. Raghavan, Mr. Fang, and Mr. Lung, for all taking time out of their busy days and coming to be judges at this event. One more round of applause for them. So it is that time. We are at the awards ceremony. So right before we just jump into that, I just want to say thank you to all the parents as well for supporting your kids through this journey and building these inventions. It's a lot of work driving them all the way here. Some of you live far away, coming all the way every Saturday to work on these inventions, buying all these parts, practicing again and again and again. It's a lot of work, and maybe we want to applaud you for that. Students? Give an applause. Okay, now this should come up, I hope. Yeah, it's coming up now. All right, so when your name is called, are we going to take pictures in front of the banner? Yeah, we'll just take we'll take a quick picture in front of the banner. So when your name is called, please come up, and we'll take a quick picture, and then you'll get a gift bag. This is going to be, shoot. Okay, now now we can go through. All right. So first up, drum roll. Ronald House. Come up. You won a gift bag at the KtByte Invention Convention.
Oh.
All right, let's take a picture. Face the key that you have facing outwards. Okay. All right. Now after that, we have Owen Wang. All right. Now we have Alex Sun. Now you also notice that all our students here have taken classes not only in KtByte, but also outside at other in CS classes as well. So many of the kids, including Alex, he's taking classes at he's taking CS classes actually. No, he's only been teaching CS classes, but most of the other kids have been taking CS classes. So after this, we have Samuel Ding. So Samuel, you've taken fun classes and robotics, and soon you're going to be taking the CS class, right?
I don't know.
We'll see. Great. Now we are at Arthur Zhang. Oh, he's not here. Okay. So then we'll continue past Arthur Zhang to the next person, Sophie Wang. I believe this is actually a two-way tie. Is this the two-way tie? Maybe. Yes, this is the two-way tie. And who is Sophie tied with, you may ask? She is tied with Will. Okay. Now we have yet another two-way. No, we don't have a two-way ties. That was before. We had two two-way ties. Now we have the next winner, Jonathan Lay. Great. So now we are coming to the top 5. So first we have,
Backwards.
Oh, it's okay. We have the awards in this one.
I put it later, but I have bags. I put it in. I got a 5.
The multi-tool?
I sorted the first of those are 5.
Oh.
Okay, but I have just to get bags. I can bring them.
That's fine, yeah. Okay, then we have the top, so so in 5th place we have Jimmy. Yeah. All right. In 4th place, drum roll please. Katerina. So.
How dare you? How dare
Sorry. All right. 3rd place, drum roll. Rachel Mann. Let's see then. All right. Now, 2nd place. There's only 2 left. We have William Zhang. Yeah. Great. And that is the last. And now we're at the last person. Last but not least, drum roll please. Vikram. And that concludes our award ceremony. Thank you so much for coming to the first ever KtByte, the Massachusetts Invention Convention. Sorry. And thank you to Caroline as well for tabulating all the scores. All right. We have a reception in the other office. There's going to be food, pizza, lots of things there. We invite you all to